Hello and welcome. With all that's happened last year, I'm sure every educator is pondering about the future of education. Our next keynote speaker, Dr. Samson Tan, researches and lead innovation and transformation as the head of Center for Innovation in Learning from the National Institute of Education, Singapore. He will be exploring the future of education in a post-COVID-19 world with all of you. If you have any questions for him, please put them in the questions tab in the live discussion chat below. I'll now pass my time over to Samson. Samson, please.
Sorry. I think I was like in the excitement of trying to get in touch with all of you. I did not switch on my mic, and so right now I've just switched on my mic. I just unmuted myself. So again, just a quick one. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for spending time with us, with me to listen to my talk. I'm just going to screen share right now. Okay, just a minute. Screen share. Okay. Are you able to see my screen now? I should think you should be able to see my screen. Just in case you are not able to, okay. It's gone a bit too fast. Yeah, so that's what with technology, right? Yeah. Okay, now, ladies and gentlemen, this is a little bit of information about myself. Thanks to Samson for the introduction. I'm from the National Institute of Education, as you have mentioned. I'm based in Singapore. We are very much an autonomous institute of the Nanyang Technological University. And if you would like to get in touch with me or connect with me through LinkedIn, there's my LinkedIn handle over their profile, so you can click on that or look for it, search for me, and happy to connect with you and share our thoughts about education. Right, without further ado, let's take a look at what's happening around us. What would I like to share with you about the future of education in a post-COVID-19 world? Just in case you start thinking about post-COVID-19 world, wow, yeah, we are still very much in the midst of it, so we are dreaming ahead already. So, well, let's see what we have to talk about today. Now that you have known a little bit about myself, I would like to find out a little bit about you as well. I know I can't see you, but I think you can send your responses to me so that I know who you are, where you are from. Very quickly over here, first question over here. I would like to find out a bit more about yourself, as in that how long have you been in the education service, or some of you could be from the industry itself. Let me see whether it's activated over here. Are you able to see the, okay, it looks like you have got the URL. If you have a mobile phone or another screen somewhere else, are you able to just log on to polliv.com /STSTAN, that's my name, 592. Yeah, so you can use lowercase, you don't need to change the uppercase. Just very quickly respond to this question, log in and respond to this question about yourself, so you are able to respond to that. So if any one of you have used Poll Everywhere, this is Poll Everywhere. So this is one of my favorite tools that I've used for teaching and learning. So let's try it if you are able to. I'll just give a few seconds to see who has got the fastest finger to be able to get to that place. Are you able to see that? Let me see now. Let me see whether you're able to see that clearly. There's a chat coming up. Yeah, let me see now. Yes. Okay, got it. I understand that there's a gap over here in terms of the time. So I'll just give a little bit of wait time, just as good teachers we always do in the class, right? Yeah. So give some wait time for responses coming up. Okay. Yeah, see who has got the fastest fingers. So while waiting for responses coming up on screen, I will just talk a little bit more about the situation around us, right? We just celebrated Chinese New Year. As a matter of fact, we are still at the tail end of Chinese New Year. Chinese New Year has got 15 days, right? And we had in Singapore, we managed to, or rather, the government has instituted some simpler way of controlling the spread of the virus. So we have this visiting still happens, but we are limited numbers. And guess what? One of those things that we need to do is that limit to 8. 8 is the magic number. I don't really know where we get a statistic of 8 per day. Yeah, that's about maximum we can go. Yeah, well, I'm not sure how was it celebrated in Malaysia. I suspect most of you are in Malaysia, so that might tuning in. Yeah, so hopefully you had good Chinese New Year for those of us who are Chinese, ethnic Chinese in Malaysia. I can see that it seems like there could be some kind of issues when it comes to getting into the poll. I don't see anything happening over here, but I think what I'll do is just quickly move on to talk about other slides. Let me see now. Can we move? Yeah. Okay. I suppose if, let's say, you couldn't get into the previous page, then perhaps you may not be able to respond to this page. Oh, wonderful. Oh, 15 years. Oh, interesting. I think it was for the previous. Yeah. We move so fast, right? Yeah. Okay, very good, very good. Now I can see. Okay, very wonderful, wonderful. I've been seeing the statistic coming in already. Wonderful. I think there was a delay. The delay is quite long this time around. The last time that I spoke at EduTECH Asia, I think the responses were a lot faster. Okay. Okay, very good. Thank you very much for. Well, I can see that quite a large majority of you at least respond. Those of you who responded to my poll, you have more than 20 years of experience. Thank you very much. We are in the same category. Yeah, this is I've been in the teaching service for more than 20 years, and large number of you, 6 to 10 years. Welcome, wonderful, accumulating good amount of experience with us. Thank you very much for responding to that. I'm good. Just going to move to the next slide. Yeah, so we can carry on with our discussion. Next slide. Let me see now. Activate and then go. Yeah. Okay. I think there's some of the questions spill over. This question, I hope that we are able to see. Right. I can see that some of you use Google Meet. Yeah. What kind of EdTech helped you to get through online teaching during the COVID-19 lockdown? Well, it's known differently at different places. I know in Malaysia it's called MCO, and in Singapore we had one as well. We call it the circuit breaker. Well, I can't remember in other places, but lockdown is a lockdown, right? Partial or full. Yeah. Okay, I can see that someone used a very similar tool that we use over here in NIE, use Blackboard. Yeah, Blackboard is our default learning and management system. Yeah, so yes, Zoom, yeah, definitely. Blackboard getting bigger. Teams, Microsoft Teams. And then I can see that Meet growing bigger. Okay, yes, indeed. Google, yeah, Google Meet. Yeah, Google Suite is one of our another learning platforms that we use a lot in NIE. In fact, probably very similar to teachers in Malaysia. The teachers in Singapore love to use Google because Google lends itself, Google Suite, the apps lend itself so readily for a lot of interesting innovation in teaching and learning. Yeah, wow, very good, wonderful. Thank you for responding. I can see that. I can see that there's something new that I have not come across as well. There's one that I see, Labster. I would really like to find out a bit more about what Labster is doing. I see some familiar ones like Poplet, yeah, Kahoot. Whoa, wow! I'm sure your students love Kahoot. We just had fun yesterday when we did a team building or team bonding exercise within my division. We were having a lot of fun with Kahoot. As you know, we are not able to do probably over at your place as well a lot of team bonding exercise. So we did a virtual one yesterday. We are using Zoom and Kahoot and a few other tools. Yeah, so we survived, right, in COVID-19. Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, wonderful. You just gave us a nice word cloud about the kind of tools that really is useful. Yeah, at least we find it useful over here. Thank you very much. I'm just going to move on to talk about this. Well, when we're just talking about fun things, right? So you have to see this statistics from me. It's a dashboard put together by Johns Hopkins University. I think they're really the authority when it comes to tracking the disease geography, I would say. Yeah. So this is about COVID-19. It is not a pretty number for us to look at. I look at this very often. Is because I find that I need to be reminded how serious this pandemic is. It's more than 112 million people infected. And on the right, you can see that globally, there are more coming to about 2.5 million people who have died because of infection of COVID-19. So this is very real figures. There was a period of time that I think in the last few months, I think it is still quite serious over in Malaysia side. I mentioned about Chinese New Year. We managed to meet. My sister is in Sarawak. And every year she will gather and meet with my siblings and my parents, of course. But this year she couldn't. But thank goodness there's Zoom for us to have a Zoom gathering. And her children are actually most of her children are in Singapore, and grandchildren are studying in Singapore. Children working in Singapore. So can you imagine that? Yeah. So that's to me, this is very real, and I'm sure to many of you who are viewing this is also still something to grapple with. Although right now, I think there's some glimmer of hope because with vaccination starting, I've read that it started in Malaysia, in Singapore as well. Yeah, so we hope that moving forward next few months, the situation will turn for the better. So this is also an opportunity for us to also think, right? So other than the death numbers, and there's certain forecasting about the kind of impact on the world's economy. Yeah. So we have, it's like compared to global financial crisis in 2009, at that time it was termed as the Great Recession, right? So people are talking about how bad it is. But look at IMF projections is that by the end of this pandemic, the kind of impact on the economy is negative 3.0. It's easily more than 30 times worse than 2009. And we haven't really experienced the full blown out of this great lockdown that's continuing to happen right now. So that's something to grapple with. What about in education? You can say that this is about EduTECH, this is about education. So just the first wave, yeah. Let's rewind it about a year ago. The impact of COVID-19 on education is that by April 2020 was like 1.6 billion students. 1.8, my goodness, 1.6 billion students of all level, K-12 as well as higher education, all add up together. They were disrupted, not able to go back to the classroom. And I'm sure that you can remember the scramble that we have to put lessons online, and then moving courses, and then in some places, yeah, in many places, especially in the rural area, you're not able to get lessons, or rather students not able to access learning, and quite a bit of adjustment. So those were the impact. But over the last 1 year, we have learned quite a bit. Yeah, so we have gone into uncharted territory. Yeah, we have learned, we have survived, as you have mentioned to me earlier, the kind of EdTech tools, the kind of platform that you use to come to this state where we are right now, and we can start thinking about, okay, this is a crisis. In Chinese saying, right, a crisis make up two characters. One is called Wei, yeah, the other one is called Qi. So when you put them together, Wei means the crisis itself, Qi means opportunity. So we put together Wei, Qi. So with crisis that comes opportunity. Now that we are in a better position, as we have better, I think it's better, getting better, we can start dreaming, right, about what's possible, what's important as we move ahead, or as we forge ahead. And there are certain, we can take certain references from the authority. One of them is World Bank, right? World Bank talk about response to COVID-19 is that there's an acceleration of digital transformation while we try to bridge the digital gap divide. Still continue to be very real. And there are enterprises that move so fast online, particularly when we can't do our regular retail right? As in buying things from shops, so many of opportunities arise in online shopping, e-commerce, yeah, you name it, it makes so much more, right? And I think that helps us to survive this period of time. The likes of Amazon and Alibaba really make it do so well during this period of time as we look at their financial data, right? And beyond that, let's take a look at what are some of the potential ICT opportunities. There are 10 major ones according to IDC. And then lo and behold, online classroom and education being one of them. Yeah, so a lot of investment as we see that's been flowing into the EdTech industry. And in Singapore, we have our startups getting a lot of attention and funding from the major financial institution as well as from the venture capitalists. And another reliable source, McKinsey and Company, they talk about during this period of time globally, there's a huge jump in terms of the acceleration in terms of the digitization of customer interaction. So in just 1 year, we see a more than 50% jump globally, and then of course across different regions, there's also very similar, of course, contributing to the global figures over there. Okay, now we talk a lot about Industry 4.0 pre-COVID, right? And we talk about how important some of this technology is changing. How about the attitude? These figures over here talk about the attitude of various industry during this pandemic period. And we find that, again, more than 65% talking about is Industry 4.0 being more valuable, meaning that the technological changes that Industry 4.0 brings about, and that again reflects the kind of acceleration in digital technology. So at this point of time, you may be thinking, yeah, this is an industry. Again, come on, tell us a bit more about education. So recently, I wrote an article for the APEC CIO Outlook, and that's the publication. Yeah, so that's the link over there. If you have not enough time to take down, the whole link is very long, of course, very difficult for you to click on. So what you can do is just do a quick search of APEC CIO Outlook. All right. So I wrote an article talking about what are the possibilities. So I won't bore you by telling you the whole article right now, but I'll just give you an overview. What are some of the possibilities? So from here is that there are a few scholars have written about this. Kendry talk about rebirth of the education system, very dramatic words over here, and he finds that it's actually overdue. So Kendry comes from the point of view of online education businesses. So he found that this is a great opportunity to do so. So for Kendrika and Calcidis, these two are scholars. They're using digital technology to enhance learning and teaching experience during this period of time, and they found that that's an opportunity for us to do so. And Martin Barbero, well, that's interesting over here because he is a university professor and researcher openly doing this. And what he thinks is that it's time to have open leadership in university management and innovative mindset, to start to try out new things. And we talk a little bit more about what he means by the new things. OECD also talked about, we need to rethink about what is the alternative education opportunities that the pandemic opened up. All right, so let's take a look at the next one. Okay, so Kendry, going back to Kendry again coming from the market perspective, he looking at the whole global higher education market. Just the higher education, not even K-12, is 2.2 trillion amount. That's pre-COVID. Yeah. So this is the kind of untapped potential, and he thinks that there's only 2% that's being tapped. So he finds that the market is ripe for disruption, and COVID-19 is basically just accelerating us, propelling us much further, faster to do that. But he also found, which is, I think, I agree, the second point over here, that because of our rush in the past 1 year to put courses online, that is the kind of approach that we are using is what he calls a first aid solution, meaning that you just transplant whatever you do in the classroom and you make use of the platform and do a lot of that. So a lot of kind of synchronous teaching, and from just face-to-face teaching to become what we call remote teaching. Is that the best way of doing it? Unlikely, according to him, and I agree with him. So we need to really rethink a lot about how do we go about doing online teaching. And a lot of it got to do with the third point, which is I mentioned over here, is about capability development for teaching faculty. Even for K-12, it's about teacher development. Yeah, we are so used to face-to-face, we assume that nothing can go wrong. But in the last 1 year, everything just turned upside down for us, and a lot of things has gone online. This is not the most effective way of, the online itself is not a problem, but adapting to it, maximizing it for our students' learning, I think that is the challenge. It's a challenge for many teachers, both in higher education as well as in K-12. And I would dare to say for the L&D industry as well. Yeah. So some statistic again. I have lots of statistic over here to show. Let me see the slide. It's not moving. Okay, let's move to the next slide over here. And you can see the transformation that Martin Barbero talked about, right? Is transformation higher education and creating a culture, right? A virtual culture. Culture takes time to form. What he believes is that we have to start looking at leveraging the learning sciences. There's a science behind learning. There's a good use of learning design, good pedagogy that paired with the good use of the media, the technology, digital technology that comes with it. And some of this digital technology we mentioned earlier, I'm going to mention again where and which are the ones that we are able to. Even pre-COVID, we were already talking about. I remember last year, I gave a talk at EduTECH Asia, talking about one specific technology that is quietly. Last year, pre-COVID, it wasn't very quiet. But during COVID situation, because of the scramble to go online learning, go blended learning, or some people call it hybrid learning, we sort of like forgotten about this. So you may be wondering, what is it that it will really help us a lot when it comes to learning? Okay, without further ado, okay, I think some of you might have seen this slide before or somewhere else in another conference. This is in 2018. There's a future of jobs report by World Economic Forum talking about the top 10 emerging roles globally in terms of the hot jobs. What are 10 hot jobs? Top 2, data analysts and scientists. And of course, we talk about artificial intelligence and machine learning specialists, right? So this is already hot, even in 2018, and the projection is just going to get hotter. Yeah, and it quietly has been happening without most of us knowing that. Fast forward that this is the latest Future of Jobs Survey, 2020. Yeah, and we find that artificial intelligence is still really very much part of it. Yeah, the one on top, like cloud computing, big data analytics. Yeah, surely it's happening. I'm sure your institution has been investing and continue to invest in that. But artificial intelligence over here is quietly revolutionizing a lot of things that we are doing, including how to deliver good online learning, good blended learning. And again, from World Economic Forum, it talks about the accelerations of digitalization in terms of upskilling, that's the industry, and reskilling very quickly. Yeah, so they look at education technology and providers doing that. So this is another data that I'm showing you so much data right now. One more slide, just in case that you are not convinced. So we corroborate what the various authorities talking about. They are emerging from this COVID-19, how to become stronger in the industry. We look at very similar things, IoT, cloud computing, and guess what? Artificial intelligence. This is a technology that we are looking at specifically. This is a study done by IBM. Among top 5, the 5 things that is happening that we need in order to emerge stronger, better in post-COVID-19 world. Technology plays a key pillar in terms of helping us to get there. Okay, yeah, so yeah, by now you say, yeah, okay, we know about artificial intelligence. Yeah, tell us a bit more about how to get there in the context of education. Okay, very good. Yeah, some of you probably have seen this as well. This is from UNESCO that came up with this 2030 education and how to make use of artificial intelligence in education towards a humanistic approach, right? So again, based on study, Baker and Smith categorizes into three main groups of how artificial intelligence can contribute to education, can be used effectively in education. One, which is not new at all, the first one is adaptive or personalized learning management system. So we have learning management system, but how to make it personalized so that every learner's learning needs is addressed, right? Right now is that we are using a rather blunt way of managing students' learning. We can do differentiated instruction to a certain extent, but the machine itself can able to tailor exactly to each student's need, right? So this is something that is really valuable. The second point that we talk about here, instructor-oriented AI. All right, so think about the administrations, about attendance taking, about scoring, about assessment, about plagiarism check, and all that. Those of us, especially those of us in higher education, find, hey, these are the kind of time, these are the kind of work that is not directly related to teaching and learning, but it is still important, it's still necessary, something that we need to do a lot. Well, at the third point I want to talk about over here is about institutional system-oriented AI, meaning that dealing with at an institution level, look at patterns, data, lots of data, and use from the data looking at patterns. Again, AI can play a part. It can help us to gain insights and make better decisions. Yeah. So that's on a broad scale. Some of you may ask, what about in Singapore? What's happening in Singapore? Which are the areas that we are focusing in? So if you look at Singapore has got an initiative called the Smart Nation Initiative, and within it, there's quite a number of national AI projects. So I'll zoom in very quickly to education. In education, that's what we endeavor to do. Adaptive learning, as you can see, the first point I mentioned, this is something that we are developing over at NIE. We are pushing ahead very quickly in this area. We are developing systems. There are already some solutions out there. We are adapting that in our context. We are studying it, we are practicing it, and then find the best way of moving forward very quickly. Point two over here, automated marking system. Wow, isn't that good? I don't know about you. When it comes to teaching, I love to teach, and I love to be interacting with my students, whether it's online, offline, face-to-face. But the one task that really takes a lot of my time and not exactly my favorite part of it is marking papers. I can't see any one of you raise up a hand or what. Some of us may like marking very much, but I don't really like to do that. It'd be wonderful to have AI able to do at least most part of the marking for me, and then I'm able to gain insight from that and perhaps give a higher value add to my students after reviewing the AI's work. So I very much like to have a teaching assistant, an AI teaching assistant who is good at doing that. Yeah, so again, this is something that we are looking at as a university in NIE and NTU. And lastly, but not the least important, in fact, I find that the last part is like most interesting, AI learning companions. Even 2 years ago, when we were at EduTECH Asia conference, and we have people who are really developing some of these initial earlier parts of our learning companions. We, at least as an institution, we look at it carefully over here, is that not only that we want to have a learning companion for our students, we also want to be careful about how we do it. We don't want to do it for the students, or rather we need to develop an algorithms and AI that can be with the students, with the end in mind of students' value that they can get out of it. The important part about I want to emphasize over here is that what we don't want to do is that having the AI to usurp the thinking for our students. So that is the important part. And I know that my time is running out very quickly. I'm just going to my last slide, which I think some of you have seen it before. This is actually my last slide. I think some of you probably have seen it before if you attended EduTECH Asia about 2 years back. I showed this. This is an old thing, but it's about a Chinese schoolgirl in China, shamed for using robot to do homework for her. Yeah, this is a robot that she purchased using her, Lunar New Year exactly 2 years ago, her ang pao money or her red packet money. She saved it and bought a robot. And this robot was so clever because not only that the robot can do her homework for her by scanning the homework, the robot over time learned her writing style. And so even the teachers couldn't tell that the robot was actually doing that for her. So what makes us so fed up about homework is this: in the teaching of Chinese, I don't think it's in Malaysia and Singapore, but in China, according to the news report, is that the teachers will make them write text passages or poems hundreds of times so that they can become, I don't know, become better at the language. So she got so fed up, they got this robot to do it. So I always get this question a lot: what's the moral story for telling us this, Samson? You may ask. The truth is this: now, if we continue to teach like robot like this, then it is very easy for us to be replaced by the machine. So honestly, is that at this point of time, as educators, what we really need to think about is the technology is already here, and it's going much faster than before. So we need to ask ourselves, what's our value add? What can we do to harness this technology so that we can teach better, can help our students learn better? That's more important. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I've come to the end of my presentation. I'll hand over this time to Samson and see whether there are some questions that you have asked.
Thank you, Samson, for the great presentation. We don't have any times for any questions, but if you have any questions, please feel free to connect with Samson, and I'm sure that he will be able to get back to you privately. So stay tuned for our next session. Thank you, Samson.